In this video, we're going to talk about circles. We're going to go over the definition of a circle, the parts of a circle, and angles within a circle. The definition of a circle is a 2D figure that is formed by a set of points that are adjacent to each other and are equidistant from a fixed point. So let's talk about some of these vocabulary words. So a 2D figure, that just means that it is two-dimensional. That just means that it is flat. Then we have this idea of that it's formed by a set of points that are adjacent to each other. And so adjacent means that they are beside each other, they are right next to each other. So a circle is formed by all of these points that are just right beside each other. So close that there's not maybe any space in between those points, okay? And then the other big idea to ensure that these points do form a circle is that they must be equidistant from a fixed point. So equidistant means that they are the same distance away from this point. Okay, a fixed point just means that it is not moving, it's staying still. It's one point. So if this is our point, we're saying that all of the points that create my circle are going to be two-dimensional, so they're on the same plane, and they're the same distance away from this center point. So in order for that circle to be created, all of the points that make up that circle are all going to be the same distance. Okay, so that's not exactly perfect, but the idea is that all of the points that are created on this white line here, okay, they're all adjacent to each other, and they are all going to be the same distance from here to here. This point is the same distance as that one and this one, and that happens all the way around the circle. And of course, there would be an infinite number of points that we could make in there, but the idea is that they all come from this center point and extend to be the same distance from that center point, and then therefore would form a circle. Okay, so the parts of a circle. First, we have our circumference, and that is the distance around the circle. This is formed by those points that are the same distance from that center point. So our circumference is like the perimeter of our circle. It is a linear measurement. So we are measuring the circumference with inches or feet, with centimeters or kilometers, depending on which unit of measurement we're thinking about. All right, then we have the radius of the circle. It's a line segment that joins the center of the circle and goes to any point on the circumference. So this would be the radius, this would be the radius, any line segment that goes from the center to the circumference. We also have the diameter of a circle. That is a line segment that goes from one point on the circumference to another point on the circumference, but it has to pass through this center point. Okay, so that is the diameter, and we have an infinite number of diameters as well, as long as it passes through the center point of the circle and it connects one point on the circumference to another point. That would be the diameter. Next, we have the chord of a circle. Again, that is a line segment that joins 2 points on the circumference, but a chord does not necessarily have to go through the center point of a circle. So this line here is the chord. It does not pass through that center point, but it still connects 2 points on the circumference of the circle. And we would call the diameter the longest chord that you can have. It is a special chord because it is a chord that does pass through the center point. So the diameter is a chord. It's a special type of chord, but not all chords are going to be a diameter. We can have a line segment that connects 2 points on a circumference without it passing through the center. So those are called chords. All right, and then finally, to talk about the angles in a circle, there are 360 degrees in a circle. So if we were to use this center point as our vertex and go all the way around that, it would be 360 degrees. An angle inside the circle is formed by two radii, two radiuses, intersecting at a point or a vertex, as we just mentioned. And when we create an angle using the center point in a circle, we would call that a central angle. So that's when the vertex of the angle is also the center point of the circle. All right, if you have any questions about circles, please let me know. Thanks for watching.